Our next presentation at BalCCon 2023 is Device Neutrality, or How to Safeguard Free Software in Devices, by Lasota. Enjoy.
Hello everybody, and welcome to my presentation. I'm very happy to be here. It's my first time at BalCCon, and I would like to thank you, the organizers, to give me the floor to talk about this very interesting topic that is not a concern legal or policy nerds, but to all of us. And since everybody uses devices, and I think free software is important in the way for us to control technology. My name is Lasota. I work for the Free Software Foundation Europe as legal program manager, and I'm also a researcher and lecturer at the Humboldt University in Berlin. Researching topics in telecom law. So it's a great pleasure to be here and to talk with you. I would like to start my presentation with a thought experiment that perhaps everyone already passed through it when buying a new device, for an example, on a smartphone, and how this can be frustrating, especially when we consider, installing new software or changing something in the device and, being stuck there. Then I would like to present and to introduce you to a concept, a policy concept called device neutrality, and how this can help us end users to be empowered to control our devices back, and what is the path that we need to follow in order to achieve this. And to show a concrete example of how device neutrality has been already being implemented and being already put forward in speeches and to make it a reality, I will also present a concrete case regarding routers and modems. So imagine that you just bought a new smartphone, whatever, Android or an iPhone. And I'll give my personal experience when I bought one. And then the first thing that I was super excited to try the new functionalities. I would like to try the camera. I would like to see how this device would perform. But as soon as I turned on the device, I already saw that something was not very right, because I was prompted to create an account with a large concern, and in order to move forward, I had to insert my details there. Of course, I can jump this part, but then if I wanted to download any app or I wanted to access the Apple Store, I had to do this. And installing a third-party Apple Store, for an example, an F-Droid, it takes some knowledge. And perhaps to disqualified audience, this wouldn't be such a mass problem, but let's think about our family. Let's think about our friends, our work colleagues that are not super into it. And I think that this big corporate, they work on the power of defaults and may make it very difficult for common people just to be empowered to run free software, to run alternative software on their devices. And they know they have this power. Because as we can see here, today we are left with very few alternatives when concerns about operating system in devices. In this graphic here, we can see that basically there are two main operating systems nowadays available for smartphones, and both of them are proprietary. So Android and iOS, they represent 99% of the global mobile operating systems market, and both of them are proprietary. So users cannot exercise the four freedoms of free software: use, study, share, improve when they are dealing with their devices. And I really think that this is a big problem, because, as said, when we are not having alternatives for devices to run, operating system to run on our devices, the power of these large corporations, they get entrenched. They get larger and stronger. They become what we call gatekeepers. And what a gatekeeper do when they achieve such power on digital markets, and they start hampering people's freedom in order to use free software on the devices. Basically, they restrict software freedom. This is the first source of power from gatekeepers by limiting users to install alternative operating systems, browsers, app stores, drivers, and etc. on their devices. But they also lock devices down by controlling, for example, pre-installed apps, hindering interoperability, and applying proprietary standards. For example, in some devices, you are not allowed to uninstall, well, legally at least, uninstall some pre-installed apps, and you don't know what these apps are doing. They are draining down your battery, and they are proprietary, so you are not very sure what functions that apps are doing in your device. But last but not least, those gatekeepers, they also increase switching costs by restricting users in so-called ecosystems or walled gardens, tying devices to online accounts, services, and hampering control over personal data, so making harder and more expensive for you to change one device to another. So these are basically the source of gatekeeper power over devices. So my question today that I would like to discuss with you, there would be a solution to this. There would be a way that we can re-empower users to control technology. And to start with that, I would like to tackle the problem of size. And for that, I would like to quote an author that I like very much, Cory Doctorow. And in his book, How to Destroy Surveillance Capitalism, he said that impact of dominance far exceeds the impact of manipulation and should be central to our analysis and any remedies we seek. So basically, these companies, they got so big that actually they can impose the power of defaults that I was talking some minutes ago in end users, and they literally can control what users can do with their own devices, hampering totally the four freedoms of software inside of devices. So in order to start dealing with this, we needed to tackle the size of these companies. We need to break monopolies over devices. And here is what I think that device neutrality can help us in breaking monopolies, in providing users with alternatives in digital markets in order for them to bypass these gatekeepers and to install free software on their own devices and to regain control over technology. And how to achieve this? Basically, we needed to safeguard software freedom again in devices. Users should enjoy software freedom on their devices. Because if in the PC, when we're talking about notebooks, sometimes it's easier to install an alternative operating system, a GNU Linux-based one, for example, Debian, Ubuntu, whatever. Sometimes getting that on a smartphone is a little bit more complex. The hardware should be compatible. There are several things there. So software freedom in smartphones, I would say that is harder to achieve today, nowadays, than in larger devices. But software freedom is not enough. We have to make sure that gatekeepers have no power to lock devices down. So, and we need to, again, provide end users, we consumers, power of our own data that we are doing there. And our demands, the FSFE demands regarding software freedom is users should have the ability to install and uninstall any software, including operating systems and also app stores, because, well, app stores nowadays is the channel that users use to access alternative software. Free software should have the same access and privilege as pre-installed apps. So when you get your device and it's full of pre-installed apps, free software should have the same privilege and access to them. Well, when we talk about no vendor lock-in, we are talking about that gatekeepers should provide, and again, gatekeepers are platforms, device manufacturers, our vendors, should provide interoperability based on open standards, open drivers, and open hardware. So no in proprietary standards that we are seeing nowadays. API and functionalities invoked by third-party apps should made easily available. So they exercise tight control over APIs, and we are against it. So access to APIs should be easier available. And devices should not be bundled with Apple stores and online accounts. So users should have control which type of app stores they should install on devices. Well, and when we are talking about end user control over data, we're talking about data interoperability. And the user should easily transfer personal data from apps, operating system, and devices in order to not be so cumbersome to change devices. Well, and this maybe sound a little bit abstract or far-fetched, but I would like to present to you with some concrete actions that we have taken, and well, be happy to say that we are having progress in these areas that we are tackling. Free software on devices. So the first one is Upcycle Android, and I'm sorry, they are double there, I don't know, I'm sorry for that. It's an activity towards device sustainability, especially regarding Android, and we have provided, for an example, an open letter signed by a lot of organizations on the right to install free software on devices. And of course, we've also been quite successful in an activity initiative called Router Freedom, where we have been working all over Europe in order to safeguard users the right to use use their own devices for internet connection. And I would like to focus here, since our time is limited today, on router freedom. And router freedom basically is the right that everyone has to use their own router and modem for internet connection. Well, everybody has connection, who has internet connection at home has to use a router, or if not, you are using perhaps your smartphone as a hotspot. But routers are very important, and at this amazing conference, we have been heard a lot about security. We have been learning a lot about this, and having control over routers is very important for home network security, for an example. And I would say that, unfortunately, in Europe, internet service providers, network operators, they hamper users' ability to use their own routers. And we have been working on this in order to safeguard the advantages that users have when they're using their own routers. For an example, they can install alternative operating system of their routers if that's possible. They can tweak, they can tune their own routers in order to achieve a better performance on the network, and of course make sure that the router OS is constantly available with the latest security patches on it. So differently from, for example, ISPs, that they provide this massive number of routers, and sometimes they don't care about security updates. We have been running a survey all around Europe about router freedom, and some end users have informed us that, for example, ISPs since 2014 have not updated their own routers. So as you can see, sometimes it's very problematic. And we have been working with telecom operators, we have been working with regulators all over Europe in order to achieve router freedom. In some countries, for example, in those that are marked with green, end users have the possibility to use their own routers. If you wanted to check the status of your country, you can just see. And well, some countries as Finland, Germany, Italy, they have passed laws allowing end users to use their own routers, but this is not a consolidated right. For an example, in Germany, just now in June, the national regulator has opened procedures to exclude fiber, to check if they can exclude fiber devices from router freedom. The same is happening in Italy. Italy has passed a new regulatory act in order to exclude fiber devices from router freedom. I don't have data on Serbia, and that's why today I'm here asking for your input. If you would like to have information on Serbia, perhaps, and you have some information about the regulatory aspect on routers, please feel free to contact me by email, and I will be very happy to update the status of Serbia and the tracking in the monitoring map. Okay, so and in the end of my presentation, yesterday I did an invitation for people who are interested in changing the landscape of the internet. I presented one initiative that the FSFE is is involved in the next generation internet. And basically, this is a funding opportunity for free software projects. If you have an idea on PET, on privacy-enhancing technologies, you have some ideas on security, please apply for funding. We are working with organizations all over Europe being funded by the European Commission, and we are helping, well, the FSF is helping projects with legal and licensing issues. But if you have an idea, if you wanted to get your idea funded, please apply for it, and we will be happy to work together. So, with that, I end my presentation, and I thank you very much for your kind attention, and yeah, I'm ready for discuss device neutrality and router freedom with you. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much. If we have any questions, you can.
So, hello, and I just wanted to ask, why do you think there is such much big of a problem for ISPs to actually let us have that router freedom? I mean, I am from Greece, I see the red dot there, and I know it is like that because I've tried to do it as well. But, I mean, what would actually be the real problem? Why would they bother so much?
You mean why ISPs, they don't let users to use routers, correctly? I understand your question? Okay, right. I think the problem is not technical. It's business and investments. They wanted to cover their investments that they did in, building the infrastructure, and they working already on very tight margins, and they wanted to control as possible the way in order to cut corners here and there. And then I think that controlling the device over their network, they can, as I said, perhaps cut some corners in maintaining the operating system and not giving end users the possibility for interoperability, and then having to take all these costs over them. So I think the problem is not technical, but more business and investments.
Yeah, but I mean, at the end of the day, if you think about it, if I want to have, like, let's say if I want to ditch the stupid TP-Link that they gave me to put in my house, and I just want to use something else, like, I don't know, maybe another brand, something faster or whatever, or something more beautiful, because I just want. Why wouldn't they bother? I mean, it's not that it costs to them something. I'm gonna buy it. I'm gonna put it there. I'm just gonna unplug the one thing and plug the other one.
Okay. Do you have a question or comments? Comments. Okay, so perhaps you can jump in.
The question is support. If you're an ISP with hundreds of thousands or even more customers, you have a support line, you have tickets, you have customers calling you, and if you don't have a single hardware, single version of a box, you don't have the money to employ that many people to support these kinds of setups. Buying your own router that is that you like, your personal Fritzbox, your WRT? Whatever you want to do. You're a hacker. You're a nerd. You figure it out. You configure it yourself. The majority of the population does not have the knowledge and usually also doesn't care. So for them, for the mass market, it does not make sense for an ISP to allow this, and that's why they policy against it. They buy the box, they deploy the box, and as long as they are not forced by either a security update or public opinion or a newsletter article telling them, hey, look, all your 500,000 UPC routers are vulnerable to this security incident. They're not going to change it. They're not going to update it.
Right.
As you mentioned before, firmware updates are not going to happen until they make financial sense for them or PR sense for them.
Yeah, indeed. Yeah, please.
Yeah, on another note with the phones, I think so. I would like to have the option to install another app store because I know quite something and I even have developed apps and everything. But my mother is very happy to have the check that actually the software in the app is from the vendor that it should be, and that it's also checked that it will not break your phone. So I think I know that we have iFroid, but so the app, the other app store. But I think there's as well a security for the actual users that they don't get so much malicious software on their phone. If they have this App Store control as such. So there is some layer of security in there. And I think this is something that you have an alternative, I know, but this is also hindering the normal user to want this, I think.
Do you want to complement something?
By normal user, meaning not nerd user.
Yes. I would like just to comment on your very interesting and very great comments, and I thank you very much. I would like just to tackle the Greece example again. The Greece regulator, this year, they decided to exclude fiber routers from router freedom. And, right, just to be clear here, I think that it's okay for ISPs to provide routers for users. I think it's completely fine for smartphones to come already with pre-installed apps. Of course, these are completely fine. What I am against, what we are against at FSFE, is that for them to block people like us to install different apps. And this is a completely different aspect. One thing is to provide something, or another thing is that you can't. You should not. And for example, in Greece, we were there and we said, look, why are you excluding fiber? You know, everything is here. I don't want you to vandalize the network. I don't want you to, you know, to abuse the network. I just wanted to configure my router. And they said, yeah, no. You know, so and the same with smartphones. I think it's great that users, when they go to a store and when they buy smartphones, everything is there and then can use and they can be happy with. Another thing is to say you are not allowed to sideload. You are not allowed to install F-Droid. You are not allowed to do this. And why you are not? Well, because I just can't prohibit you to do so. So I think device neutrality is in the way that if you wanted to install, fine, it's on your risk, but fine, you know, and not prohibiting users to do so. Any other questions or comments? Yes.
Okay, I'm from Serbia, so I'm going to tell us a little story about our providers here.
Cool.
So I'm at home. I have a connection with the largest cable provider in Serbia, and I'm also running Pi-hole and such other stuff to block ads on the internet, block tracking, and so on. At one moment in time, so let's say 6 months ago, I noticed that I started getting ads again, and all sites started asking me to accept cookies. I went to the settings of the router. The router is unlocked, so you can change almost all settings on it, but I saw that the DNS server, which is handed out by DHCP, has been returned to the DNS servers of the provider. And I tried to change that, and as soon as I changed the DNS servers, the router reboots and reapplies other settings. And I contacted support, and the answer was that it's not allowed for users to change DNS servers because of network security.
Yeah, right. Yeah.
And
yeah, I mean, I saw a lot of people commenting. Let's just quickly add one comment and perhaps, yeah, we will give the floor to you. Well, there are two scapegoats everywhere. So every regulatory procedure that I took part on in Europe, I thank you very much for your comments from technical. I just wanted to give the policy and legal background this. Network operators, there are two scapegoats. One, network security, and two, end user experience that they say. Right, so security, they always will tell you that this is important for security. And more interesting enough, in the procedure that the German regulator just opened in June this year, it was motivated by associations of fiber providers. And they were not able to pinpoint security problems. They were point some here and there, but nothing very serious. But anyway, they go for it. Perhaps, you left your hand firstly.
I just needed to say the last comment was far too kind. I think the correct way to say this is the motherfuckers at SBB broke my router and my home network. It was the same thing. Suddenly nothing's working. I can't redirect anything. And the SSH port's gone. Can't do any services in SSH unless I've got port forwarding, and then I've got all sorts of other nightmares. Absolute nightmare. And I got a different answer. Instead of it's a security issue, I got like weird non-answers. They just kept going round and round with different departments' emails saying, oh, there's been an update. I'm like, I know, and it broke everything.
Your experience is also here in Serbia?
Yeah, identical. Same. I think I suspect I'm with the same provider.
Right. I would be very helpful if you guys just can shoot me an email, and then we can also have some back and forth there. Wait, here. So yeah, my email is down there, and it would be really cool to have this panorama happening in Serbia. Yes, please.
So I just wanted to clarify why that happened. It's called Aeon Connect. It's a self-care mobile app, and it has child control. And the provider couldn't figure out how to enforce their safety antivirus. It's just DNS filtering. The easiest way was to have basically set in the configuration file of all cable modems to always force their DNS. Mm-hmm. They already have one model where they removed the DNS setting, but for other ones where it's still available, for example, the UB or the SDMC, they just reset it constantly so they can improve customer experience. That's the second scapegoat.
Yes.
Just
okay.
wanted the context.
Right. Okay. Thank you very much for your comment. And I'm sorry, I would like to participate on your talk on how I become an ISP, but I had to be here. Perhaps we can chat before, after that. Any more comment or question? No? I think I went over my time then. Here, yeah.
A quick one? 1 minute.
Okay. The microphone? Can you just check?
Do you provide any sort of guidance, FAQs, calling flow charts to inquire about router independence and opening up? So if I have a discussion with a regulatory authority or with a provider, do you provide any sort of guidance on how someone could argue for this and push for that?
Yes, we have. We have a wiki on this. We are in the process of making this wiki an infographic, like just on one page. But the wiki is very comprehensive. I can send you the...
I'll find it.
Okay, cool. Right. Again, I'm very pleased to be here once. Thank you very much for the BalCCon organizers. And yeah, thank you very much for the attention.